My hands trembled as I held the wedding invitation in my lap. Not because I was excited, but because of the letter that came with it. My daughter Clara had written in neat, perspicacious, almost cold handwriting, "Mom, please don't come to the wedding. It will only make things awkward. I hope you understand." My heart shattered. I had raised Clara on my own after her father passed away when she was 12. I worked double shifts, skipped meals, patient, and put my own dreams on hold just to make sure she had everything she needed. I thought we had a bond unbreakable by time or distance. But somewhere along the way, Clara grew distant. Participation. Maybe it was when I couldn't afford her first choice of college and she had to settle for another. Or maybe it was when I remarried briefly and she never accepted my new husband. Whatever it was, she no longer saw me as her mother, only as a shadow she wanted to forget. Still, on her wedding day, I found myself outside the grand church. My dress was simple. Participation. Nothing like the glamorous gowns the other guests wore, but I didn't care. I just wanted to catch a glimpse of my daughter walking down the aisle. I stayed at the very back, half hidden behind the doors. My eyes filled with tears when I saw her. So radiant, so beautiful, the little girl I used to braid hair for now transformed into a bride. I was content to simply watch from the shadows. But then something unexpected happened. During the reception, after the vows had been exchanged, the groom, David, stood up to give his speech. He took the microphone, glanced around the glittering hall, and smiled at Clara. Everyone leaned in, patient, expecting the usual sentimental words about love and gratitude. But instead, his voice carried a sharp edge. "Before I thank everyone," he began, "there's something I need to say, patient, and it might surprise many of you. But the person who deserves to be honored here isn't even sitting at the head table. In fact, she isn't even supposed to be here." The crowd stirred, murmurs spreading like wildfire. Clara shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting nervously toward him. David continued, his voice louder now. "I learned something about love not from books, not even from Clara, but from watching the sacrifices of someone who wasn't given the credit she deserved." Participation. Clara's mother, the woman who raised her alone, who worked day and night to give her the life she dreamed of. And yet, that same woman was told she wasn't welcome here today. Patient, that is not love. That is shame, and I will not begin my marriage with lies. My breath caught in my throat. Was he really talking about me? Gasps rippled through the room. Clara's cheeks flushed red, her hands clutched tightly at her bouquet. "David, stop," she whispered, but the microphone picked up every word. "No, Clara," David said firmly. "I won't stop. Because your mother deserves to be here more than anyone. She deserves to see her daughter happy. She deserves to know she matters. And if she's outside those doors," participation, then I want her inside. "Right now." Suddenly, all eyes turned toward the back of the hall. Toward me. I froze, my face burning with a mix of humiliation and disbelief. For a moment, participate, I wanted to run. But then David put the microphone down and started walking straight toward me. The guests parted as he strode across the room, his expression unwavering. He reached out his hand and said, "Please, come sit with us, be part of this day. Because you are family." A tear streamed down my face as I took his hand. The room erupted in whispers, but David didn't care. He led me to the front, past the glittering tables, past Clara's stunned expression. He pulled out a chair beside him at the head table and motioned for me to sit. My heart pounded in my chest, overwhelmed by the kindness of a man who, until that moment, participation, I thought I barely knew. Clara's eyes filled with tears too, though hers were different. Guilt, regret, maybe even shame. She leaned toward me and whispered, "Mom, I'm sorry." Participation. I don't know what I was thinking. I held her hand, squeezing it gently. "I know, sweetheart, I know." The rest of the evening carried on, but the atmosphere had shifted. The guests looked at me with newfound respect. And Clara, though humbled, began to soften, her wall of pride slowly crumbling. That night, as she hugged me tightly before leaving with David, she whispered, "I almost lost you today. But he reminded me who you really are. And I don't ever want to forget again." Driving home, I realized something profound. Sometimes it takes a stranger, or in this case, a son-in-law, to open our children's eyes to the truth they've been too blind to see. I didn't just gain a daughter-in-law that day. I gained a son, one who valued love, respect, participation, family, and as painful as the journey had been, I walked away with a renewed heart, reminded that love, true love, is never silent. It speaks up, even when it's inconvenient. Participation. Even when it risks everything. Final message of family isn't about perfection. It's about forgiveness, sacrifice, and the courage to fight for one another when it matters most. Participation. Sometimes love doesn't come from the ones you expect. It comes from those brave enough to remind you that you matter.